Hey everyone, and welcome to a brand new explainer. Today we're diving into something absolutely mind-blowing. We are exploring a deeply detailed, highly structured theological roadmap of Islamic eschatology. We're going to unpack the end times narrative, strictly following the fascinating source material we have today. And let me tell you, this text provides a staggering timeline. It stretches all the way from the early days of Islamic history to the literal end of the universe, straight into a 5,000-year-long day of judgment. As always, we are just here to impartially report and break down these concepts so you can understand the exact step-by-step sequence of events exactly as they're laid out in the text. Alright, so let's quickly run through our agenda for today. We're going to start with the 4 great angels, then move on to the promise of resurrection. After that, we'll analyze the 7-year golden age, the sudden erasure of faith, the destruction of the Kaaba, and finally, we'll wrap it all up with the ultimate cosmic reset, the final trumpet. Okay, let's jump right into section 1, the 4 great angels, or as we can think of them, the cosmic administrators. According to the source material, the entire operating system of the universe is actually managed by God through 4 supreme angels, and each one has a highly specific job. First up is Jibreel, who is responsible for delivering divine messages. Now get this scale. The text notes he possesses an awe-inspiring 600 wings. It says if he were to spread them all out, they would completely block out the entire sky. Next is Mikhail, who's in charge of distributing sustenance, basically deciding who gets how much food across the globe. Third, we have Israel, the angel of death. He's obviously feared by many because his arrival means absolute certainty. His one and only purpose is to take souls. And finally, there's Israfil, whose role is directly tied to the very end of time. And bringing up Israfil introduces this immense underlying tension to the whole narrative. You see, Israfil holds something called the Sur, which is this massive cosmic trumpet. And the text says that since the very moment the heavens and the earth were created, he has just been holding this trumpet to his mouth. Picture that, he is waiting there with his head bowed, constantly anticipating the single divine command to blow it. It's essentially a permanent state of cosmic suspense. Moving on to section 2, the promise of resurrection and a major theological challenge. To understand this, the narrative winds the clock back to the Prophet Muhammad's early days in Mecca. After 3 years of preaching in secret, he finally started speaking publicly. But the ruling class had a massive stumbling block. The theological concept that caused the absolute most friction was the idea of physical resurrection after death. The source shares this incredibly vivid, almost cinematic anecdote about a Meccan leader named Ubay bin Khalaf. Just to openly mock the idea of resurrection, Ubay walks right up to the Prophet, holding this rotten, completely dried up bone. He crushes it into dust right there in his hands, lets the wind just blow it away, and scoffingly asks, "Will Allah really bring these bones back to life?" Well, that interaction sets up a pretty wild historical payoff. You see, Ubay was a fierce enemy, and he actually swore he would personally kill the Prophet while riding this specially trained horse. But later on, at the extremely chaotic Battle of Uhud, the Prophet sees Ubay charging at him. The Prophet tells his companions to just let him through, grabs a small spear, and throws it. Now, Ubay was heavily armored, but that spear managed to strike this tiny exposed spot on his neck. He fell off his horse, and here's the crazy part. The wound was actually minor, but Ubay was absolutely terrified. He famously claimed that even if the Prophet had just spit on him, he would have died. And he did. He succumbed to that minor scratch shortly after. According to the text, his earlier mockery with the crushed bone led directly to the revelation of verses in Surah Yasin. It's this calm reminder to humanity that the one who created life from a single microscopic drop can easily recreate it from dust. Which brings us to section 3, the Golden Age, a 7-year period of abundance. So now we're shifting our timeline way forward into the prophecies of the future, and the narrative sets up a truly shocking contrast. First, we have the 7-year rule of Isa, or Jesus. The source describes this as a period completely free of all enmity. Wealth is going to be so abundant that literally no one will even need charity. And the blessings on food? Unreal. The text says a single pomegranate will feed a huge group of people, and get this, its peel will be large enough to be used as a roof. During this era, Isa will abolish symbols like the cross and eliminate pigs from the earth to completely purify society. But the second those 7 years are up and Isa passes away, society experiences an instant, devastating collapse. Sins like idolatry, murder, and public indecency return with such a vengeance that the text actually notes even Satan himself would be shocked by how depraved humans become. Alright, section 4, the erasure of faith. Basically, a world without the word. Okay, I really want you to follow this terrifying sequence. After that total moral collapse we just talked about, God sends a gentle, cool breeze sweeping across the entire world. This breeze peacefully takes the soul of anyone who has even a tiny speck of faith left in their heart. The reason? It ensures that no believers have to stick around to witness the absolute horrors of the final days. The people left behind are operating purely on base animal instincts, and then, one morning, people wake up to a completely bizarre phenomenon. The physical covers and the bindings of every single Quran are totally intact, but you open them up and the pages inside are totally blank. Every single word has been erased from the paper and completely wiped from human memory overnight. So what happens to those words? Where do they go? The text explains that they are actually lifted back up to the Lawh-e Mahfuz, which translates to the preserved tablet. You can think of this as an unseen, divine safe register that holds all cosmic knowledge, every human destiny, and the original master script of the Quran. The source makes this deeply awe-inspiring comparison to really drive home the scale of this thing. It says that all of human knowledge, everything we have ever learned or gathered, is like a tiny little mustard seed compared to the boundless, unfathomable cosmic record kept in this preserved tablet. Now we're at section 5, the destruction of the Kaaba and the hidden treasure. So by this point in our cosmic timeline, the city of Medina is completely abandoned. It's just left to the wild animals. And the Kaaba in Mecca sits totally empty, with 0 worshippers. Now, to understand why, the source takes us on this incredibly fascinating historical detour, 3,500 years into the past. Back then, a tribe called the Banu Jurhum used to manage the Kaaba. Over time, pilgrims brought these incredibly expensive gifts. We're talking mountains of gold and diamonds. And well, the tribe grew completely corrupt. When the locals finally had enough and revolted against their oppression, the Banu Jurhum had to flee. But before they ran, they took all that massive treasure, buried it right there in the grounds of the Kaaba, and maliciously filled in the sacred Zamzam well. Now, the well itself was famously rediscovered 500 years later by the Prophet's grandfather, Abdul Muttalib. But that ancient priceless treasure of gold and diamonds, it stayed buried beneath the earth. And it's exactly that hidden treasure that acts as the catalyst for this next prophecy. A thin-legged man from Abyssinia, driven by pure greed for this ancient buried wealth, is going to travel to the empty Kaaba. The prophecy states he will strike it with an axe, literally dismantling the sacred site stone by stone just to dig up the gold. The text also notes that right before he does this, the sacred black stone is physically lifted up to heaven. But you know what the most chilling part of this whole sequence is? The remaining population of the world is so incredibly apathetic and steeped in sin, they don't even care that this ancient monumental site is being completely destroyed. Let's move to section 6, the final trumpet, the ultimate cosmic reset. This is it. This is the absolute climax of the source material we're exploring today. The literal end of all earthly existence begins with just a sound. Israfil, after waiting since the dawn of creation, finally blows the trumpet. But here's the twist. It doesn't start as some deafening roar. The text describes it starting as this incredibly beautiful capturing sound that just draws everyone's absolute focus. But then it escalates. The frequency ramps up until it becomes terrifying, ultimately turning into a massive lethal shockwave that instantly kills every single remaining living creature on Earth. What happens next is honestly a deeply chilling, highly methodical sequence. God asks the angel of death, Israel, who is left alive. Israel replies that only God, himself, and the 3 other supreme angels remain. Systematically, God issues the final orders. Step 1, Israel takes the soul of Jibrail. Step 2, he takes the soul of Mikhail. Step 3, he takes the soul of the trumpet blower himself, Israfil. And finally, God commands the angel of death to take his own soul. And with that, Israel dies. At this exact moment, according to the text, the entire universe, everything seen and unseen, is completely empty. There is absolute, total cosmic silence. Only God remains. And in that vast, empty silence, God makes a singular, profound declaration across the void. Today, whose kingdom is it? Today, it belongs only to the one Allah. But wait, that is not the end of the narrative. It's actually a reset, because God revives Israfil, and the trumpet is sounded a second time. This second blast triggers the physical resurrection of billions and billions of humans. Bodies are literally reformed from the dust, keeping that promise made to Ubay ibn Khalaf centuries prior. All of humanity is then gathered on this incredibly vast plain called Meydan-e-Meshar, where the ground is like solid iron, and in a really astonishing, intense detail from the text, the blinding sun is brought down until it is just 1 mile above everyone's heads. Which brings us to our conclusion for today. The text states that this massive gathering marks the beginning of a day of judgment that will last for a staggering 5,000 years. We have traced this incredible narrative from ancient hidden treasures buried in the desert all the way to the literal unmaking and remaking of the entire cosmos. It leaves us with a truly profound thought to ponder. As that second trumpet sounds to begin a staggering 5,000-year-long day of judgment, how will humanity endure the weight of this massive cosmic timeline? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. I hope this gave you a really clear, structured window into this fascinating source material.